I'm Megan, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I am going to be sharing with you some facts about pediatric stroke. Since it is May, and May is Pediatric Stroke Awareness Month, and I am a pediatric stroke survivor. So let's begin. So first is pediatric stroke is a rare condition that affects 1 in every 4 flying newborns, in addition to flying older children every year. Stroke is among one of the top 10 causes of deaths in children. Okay, next is a type of stroke that actually is the stroke I had, and it's really hard to pronounce, especially someone with me who, has like language difficulties, but I'm going to try my best and I'm going to put it on the screen. But perinatal arterial ischemia is the most common type of stroke in children, and it occurs in 1 in every 2,800 live births. Also, this type of stroke, along with a couple others, I'll put them on the screen, is one of the most common causes of hemiplegia or hemiplegias. Well, I tend to use the words interchangeably, just by accident, but technically, by the definition, I have hemiplegia since I can move my right arm. So next is the risk of stroke is the highest in the first year of life, and it peaks during the first few weeks before and after birth. So next is the risk of stroke from birth to the age of 19 is approximately 5 per 100 flying children. So now I'm going to share with you some signs and symptoms of pediatric stroke. So first is a weakness or numbness on one side of the body, slurred speech or difficulty with language, trouble balancing or walking, seizures. Lastly but not least is vision problems such as double vision or loss of vision. So those are just a few of, signs of pediatric stroke. So now I'm going to show you some risk factors of pediatric stroke. Some include heart disease and problems with blood vessels supplying to the brain. Also, blood clotting disorders, and that is actually the reason why I had my stroke, is because of a blood clotting disorder. And then lastly is sickle cell disease. That can also be a risk of pediatric stroke. So next is 60% of children who have a stroke have symptoms within the first 3 days of life, and that can include symptoms like focal seizures. That being said, the other 40% of children do not show signs of stroke occur later on when they start showing delays of movement and development and learning difficulties. That is when they start showing symptoms. And for me, that was the case when I started moving around and not using my right hand and reaching for toys with my left hand only. That is a symptom that my parents noticed. Okay, so being a pediatric stroke survivor, there are disabilities that you may have throughout your life, and I'm gonna name several of them, and I'm gonna tell you which ones I have, and I actually do have kind of a lot on this list, but yeah, I'll name you that. So first is cerebral palsy. I do have cerebral palsy, but it is important to know, not all pediatric stroke survivors is diagnosed with cerebral palsy. The stroke has to happen either before birth, during birth. But since my stroke happened before I was born, I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. Next is epilepsy. I was diagnosed at 21 years old. It was later on, but I do believe, and my parents believe, I did have seizures before that, but they were so mild that we didn't notice. But my first actual this is a seizure happened at 19 years old. So next is speech and language difficulties. I have that. I've been to speech therapy throughout my life growing up. Language has always been difficult for me, but I definitely have gotten better. Next is visual and hearing problems. So like I said, I'm grateful that I don't have any hearing problems, but I am visually impaired. Specifically, I have hemianopsia. So, yeah, it is frustrating. So next is cognitive difficulties, or like learning disabilities. So like growing up, I was diagnosed with learning disabilities, but no, that is like a whole like complicated story, because I honestly think like I may not have had a learning disability from the beginning, but if you want to hear my like success story in school, because I do have remarkable one, I will put a card up and put it in the description box. But I was diagnosed with a learning disability, but long story short, like I'm very smart. So if you want to hear like how far I've came with school and like learning all that stuff, definitely watch that video. So next is paying attention. So like ADHD, I do not have that, so I'm glad about that. I do pretty well, paying attention, and that was something I never struggled with like throughout school or anything like that. And lastly is behavioral and emotional difficulties, challenges. That is something when I was younger, I struggled with, and so in terms of like behavior, but now, I think sometimes I struggle with like emotional things. It's hard for me to control my emotions sometimes. But yeah, so those are just some of the like disabilities you may have, being a pediatric stroke survivor, and challenges you may have and things like that. But I will say, all the challenges I have had because of my stroke has never stopped me from anything, and I just use it as motivation. And if you have seen my other videos, then you know that. So lastly, the last fact I'm going to share with you today is the one I think is the most interesting, and the one I want you to take away the most from this in terms of pediatric stroke survivors, and that is overall a child's brain has a better chance at recovering from a stroke than an adult brain. And I am here to say I'm just an example of that. My brain has recovered very well from the stroke I had before I was born, and back when I was 10, I actually had an MRI. So the neurologist gave me instruction to move my right side, which is my right side, and recorded brain activity to show which areas of the brain were activating. Next, I was given directions that were language based to show brain activities during language tasks. My results show that motor and language tasks were taken over by my right side of my brain, which is my non-gamma area of my brain, and that new neural pathways were established. So doing that MRI showed that my brain rewired itself. So for people who do not have a brain injury, they use their language on the left side of the brain. But for me, my right side of my brain took over that. And, doing language tasks, I use my right side of my brain, while, everyone else use their left. So it really showed that, my brain gets rewired itself and found new pathways for me to, be able to learn and do things. And I think that is very cool. So doing that MRI, so like how remarkable the brain really is, and having a stroke before I was born, my brain was able to, rewire itself. So while, having a stroke before I was born could be looked as like a sad thing and a scary thing, and any stroke, being a pediatric stroke survivor, there is still a lot of hope that comes with it, because the brain is still developing, and the brain is able to like create new pathways still. Having a stroke at a young age, there is a lot of hope that it will happen. Of course, everyone is different, but there is sure that a lot of hope that, you know, the brain will rewire itself and it will find, you know, new pathways to learn, to figure out, you know, how to do it. I think it's so cool how my brain rewire itself and create new pathways and, you know, did that, and it just proves that, you know, the brain is pretty remarkable. And if you know me well, you know I'm amazing at math. One of the questions I always, you know, want to know is like, did having my stroke cause me to, you know, be incredible with math? Because, you know, I also have like a remarkable memory, especially for numbers. So like sometimes I'm just like, did my stroke and how it happened like cause me to like be so good at math and, you know, numbers and my memory, or would I be like this anyway? Like, I always want to know that, but, you know, of course I will never be able to know that, but it's something I always wonder. But anyway, those are the facts I'm going to share with you today. I hope you enjoy hearing the facts and, you know, hearing a little bit about me and, you know, my experience, you know, being a pediatric stroke survivor. I hope you like this video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. It really helps me a lot. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. I post every Monday and Friday. Also, turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on any of my videos. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Bye.